Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to apply floral transfer paper and also how to hand paint a little lace design. So if that's something that you're into, just keep watching. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. And of course, as always, if you have any questions, please put them in the comment section below. So for this design, I'm using Madame Glam gel polish in the color My Oh My. And also I'm using a really pretty floral transfer paper. Now I got this one with several others that came in a pack on eBay quite some time ago as usual. Most of my stuff I've had for quite a while. But I know that the pink chair carries some as well. I think they're a JOHENS brand. So I'll try to link both of them below. And then you're obviously going to need also a transfer gel. I really still like this one from JOHENS, so that's the one I'm going to use. And you will also need a matte top coat. I'm really excited to use this. I have used the Ugly Duckling matte forever. I believe I tried the Beamy one as well. And I've always kind of gravitated back to the Ugly Duckling. This is a tack-free matte top coat, and again, I got it at the Pink Chair, and she has several different brands of matte, so I just wanted to try this one first, and I may try the others next. Then you're also going to need a white gel polish just to mix with the Madame Glam to lighten it slightly. We want just a lighter color for the art detail on top. And then also the JOHENS, I'm using the Aurora Chrome pigment. I'm going to mix that in with a little bit of the Young Nails stain resistant top coat just to add a little bit of extra detail. And then as far as brushes, I'm using this guy here again years ago from, I'm sure it was probably from eBay. It's just a little detailer brush, but this is the one that I generally gravitate towards using for adding like pigments and things like that. So that guy. And generally when I apply my my transfer foils or my transfer papers, I will just use my finger. Obviously you would have a glove on with your client, but sometimes I will grab one of these little silicone tools also to just kind of rub it in. So if you've got one of those on hand, you can use that. So first you want to start by adding 2 coats of the gel polish. Now what I will say about the Madame Glam gel polishes is that I find them to be really nicely pigmented. Now I've only got about 10 colors of theirs, but I'm going to assume that if all 10 that I've purchased are quite pigmented, that the majority of their colors will be pigmented. I've seen a few other tutorials of ladies using the Madame Glam, and I will agree that I think they are all pigmented. All of the ones that they have used are pigmented. I'm just going to clean up here a little bit on the edge. So I've already got the one tip done. I'm going to cure this one and then do a second coat, and then we're going to get started on the fun stuff. Okay, so now that I've got both of my tips with the 2 coats of the gel polish, I find actually wiping the tacky layer or the dispersion layer off before applying this transfer foil, I do find that it works better. I don't know if it's just me or what, but so what I'm going to do, so for the one nail, I am going to apply a full coverage of the transfer foil. And again, you don't need it to be a super thick layer or anything like that. You just want it to be an even, thin layer. So I'm doing that, and then we're going to cure it. And then on the other nail, we're actually just going to put it at a diagonal through the nail, because obviously that one has a little bit extra of detail. Okay, so speaking about the transfer paper or the transfer foils, there's a couple of ways that I have applied something like this where it has a design. So I have actually taken and cut out the individual flowers or you know, bouquets, I guess you could say for this one. It's several flowers. So you could cut this out, cut this out, cut this out, and then apply them individually on the nail. You will get less wrinkling and things like that. Now, the only problem with that is sometimes you won't get all the detail because you're not going to cut out this leaf here and this leaf here and this little flower here. So if you're just looking for something like that pattern right here, you just want this, I would actually just cut that out and apply it. The other way to avoid getting wrinkles, and I've shown this in a video on my Instagram that I do, it's a technique that I do with decals to make sure that they lay flatter on the nail, because sometimes you can get that wrinkling, is I will make several slits. So you can see on this one that I have actually made a slit here. Oh, let me just hold it there. There's a slit right here. I've also made a slit here and here and down here, and I think I've made another one here. Now the only thing you want to make sure is, as you can see, these ones here I've made quite close, so you want to be careful when you're rubbing it on the nail that you don't tear that. But what I find is this helps it to lay down nicer on the nail. So you're going to take your transfer foil, which I have cut relatively close to the size of the nail. You are going to apply it to the nail however or wherever you want. Once you've got it in place, then I just press with my fingers, and you can see because of that crease there, it allows it to lay a little flatter. Now, of course, when we are working on larger nails like this, it's easier to get them to lay flatter. But if you are working on a nail of this size, it's really hard to get those transfer papers or transfer foils to lay down without having all those creases and wrinkles. So try this method and let me know in the comment section if it works for you or if you have a different technique that would work better. So again, now you can go in with your fingers and just, you know, gently but with some pressure, you know, press down, or you can take your little silicone tool and just make sure that you are getting everything pressed down really well so that everything transfers. I'm hoping when I release this that everything transfers really well. Sometimes you think everything's gonna come off good and then you go to do the big reveal and, well, shit, it doesn't come off. So let's see here. I'm just gonna grab my tweezers and we're gonna do sort of a little test and pull up and see, and it does look like it's coming off quite well. Now, because I have all of those little slits, it may come off in you know, several different pieces, which is totally okay. And again, you just want to make sure that you're really rubbing it in. You can obviously apply way more pressure with your hand or your fingers. And there we go. So that's pretty good. It all came out pretty good, I will say. There might be a few little places here and there, like there's one right here that a little tiny bit of color didn't go, but in the grand scheme of things, that's pretty awesome. So again, we're going to basically do the same thing with this nail, and we're going to apply the foil right to the center here. So if you don't like to cut your foil pieces, you don't have to. So I'm just going to apply where I want the design and just kind of tack it down, and then use my finger to really rub and press that in so that I know it's going to transfer. I'll even sometimes use the back, like my fingernail, to just really burnish that in. It just applies a little extra pressure. And then we're going to release. And that one worked even better. So I would say definitely the applying the pressure with your fingers, and then even just using your fingernail, or if you have something like even the back of a brush, something harder to really rub it in. I would say that works the best, but this turned out pretty awesome. This one, the entire design transferred, so I had nothing left behind. So now I'm going to apply the matte top coat. Now the one thing that I have learned over the years is with matte top coat, you want to give it a little mix. Now what I do is I just let my, I open up my cap and then I just sort of roll it around just to kind of get it to mix a little. And then, you know, you can also, because obviously the brush will not reach the bottom, sometimes it's good to just go in with a little palette like this and just make sure you're mixing it up, because what I find is the additive that they put into the matte top coats to make them matte, it can settle in the bottom, and then by the time you get to, you know, 3/4 of your bottle done, you go to apply it and it's really thick and goopy. So I would just make sure that when you're applying your matte, make sure you give it a little zhuzh, a little mixy mix. Don't be messy like me and get it all over the lid. Make sure you clean that off before you put your cap back on. And we are going to apply that to both of our nails. Okay, so both of them have come out of the curing lamp and they are completely tack-free. I do like how matte they are. I think what I'm going to do is eventually, I'd like to purchase all of the matte top coats that Kelly has at the Pink Chair and compare them also to the Ugly Duckling, just to see, you know, comparatively how they line up. But I do like this one, so I may stick with it for now anyways. So now we are going to go into adding the little extra detail. So as I said, I was going to mix my Madame Glam with my, where is it here? My white, to just add to make it a little bit of a different lighter color. So I'm just going to show you the comparison. It's maybe, oh, I don't know, a few shades lighter, not super light. And I've also mixed up on my tile some of the JOHENS Chrome that I mentioned with my Young Nails top coat. So these are going to be on top of the matted nails. So for this one, I'm simply going to take I'm only going to be adding a little bit of the chrome. And where I'm going to add it is mostly over the green parts, because this chrome particularly has a green undertone to it. So I just thought it would be super cool. Oh, sorry guys, I'm totally out of frame. To add it onto the leaf parts, just to add a little extra something. So in the light, you can see how cool that is. Then I'm also going to go into that lighter color, and I'm going to just add little dots in combinations of 3s. I just love the addition of the little dots. I don't know, I always kind of add them whenever I do a floral design. So I thought it would be kind of cool. And you can add single ones as well here and there to fill in space. And you don't want them to be, you know, super big or anything like that. Just little tiny dots. So I'm going to cure that, and then we're going to go on to the next nail. So for this design, we are going to go in again with the chrome. And I'm going to go over all of the greenery the same way that we just did the last one. And then I'm going to actually flash cure this because we're doing several little layers, I guess, of color or design. I want to just make sure I'm flash curing in between, just so everything kind of sets and doesn't move around or run into each other. So once I've got all of the greenery covered with this chrome, I'm going to flash cure for a couple of seconds. Now I'm going to go into that lighter color that we mixed, and I'm just going to load up my brush, and I'm going to create dots just along the edge of where we put that transfer paper. Now, of course, you can use a dotting tool. Sometimes I just don't really feel like pulling out a whole another tool if I'm just doing a few little dots. So I will just go in with my brush, load it up, and make little dots. And again, once I've got this layer in, I'm going to go ahead and flash cure, because we are also going to be adding a little bit more detail just to create a little bit of a lace pattern. Now you could do this lace pattern with some stamps if you had stamping as well. All right, so I'm going to flash cure that. Okay, so now you want to make sure that your brush obviously has paint and color on it, but you don't want it to be too loaded, because we are going to be doing a fine detail. So I like to try to start relatively in the middle and just create a half circle. And again, I'm using my little brush. This is my absolute favorite brush, and I cannot find them anywhere anymore. I got it on eBay many moons ago. So once this one is kaputski, I'm gonna have to find another one. So if anyone has any recommendations of really nice detailer brushes, please comment below and let me know which ones are your favorite. So again, we just want to create this little half moon or half circle design, very thin, all along the dots, just like that. And then I'm going to flash cure. Okay, so now for the next little bit of detail. So you want to load your brush up a little bit more. You want to have a little bit of a bobble or a ball on the end, you can see there. And what you're going to do is you're going to apply pressure, and then as you kind of drag your brush a little bit, you're going to lift your brush up to come to that little tiny point. So I'll show you here. We're going to push down and then pull up. And then you're making like little teardrops basically. And we're doing this in between each little half moon shape. And then we're going to go in and do one in the center of those little teardrops. And that is it. Now we'll final cure. Now the last little thing you need to do is, once it comes out of the curing lamp, depending on if your top coat was a tack free that you mixed with your chrome, or if the colors that you use are tack free, mine are not, so I'm just going to give them just a little wipe just to make sure that there's no tacky residue, because otherwise things will stick to your client's nails and you don't want that. So we have that finished.